this is Shah Peerally for the Shah Peerally Law Show, and today we are going to discuss, of course, about immigration law and debt settlement. So we are going to talk about many things that are kind of happening out there, and it is really stressful. And as you can see, it is we are in very tough times right now. A lot of things are actually becoming more and more difficult, and we're going to talk about all this. And again, anything I'm going to tell you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. And today I welcome back my friend Michael. Michael, thank you so much for being back. We miss you a lot, so good to have you in here today, and we hope we will be able to actually kind of work things out, so make things easier for people. And the studio lines will be open: 510-657-1170, 510-657-1170. That's the studio lines. If you have any questions, feel free. Michael will put me through, and we'll discuss about issues that are related to immigration, and of course not completely always related to immigration, but that are affecting a lot of things right now. And of course, many things are going to affect our immigration situation right now. For one, we have this the famous virus, the coronavirus, or the COVID-19, which is really kind of hitting hard as I expected. There are 3 weeks now have been talking about this, and it is not getting better. We are seeing more and more flights getting cancelled, countries not allowed in. Italy is going through a really hard time. My heart goes to all the people who are suffering, and it is really a challenge. It's almost like a world war we're going through right now. I should say this is a world war, but again, this is a war against a virus, and we are fighting something unknown. And even the World Health Organization, by the way, to be taken with a grain of salt, is saying that this is big, and they don't really have it under control. Let's be honest on that. And worst case scenario is that even here in the U.S., it seems the thing is popping out everywhere. Now even India, I heard schools are being closed, etc. And any densely populated area, they get highly affected. Plus the unrest in India is affecting a lot of people too. So you need to expect things are going to be difficult in the next few months, and maybe even for a couple of years, until all this is brought under control. And unfortunately, we don't really have the leadership that can really take care of that. And when I say leadership, I don't mean presidents, I don't mean politicians. We need people who can really take the leadership, take the lead, and what to do next. China is going back to work supposedly, but still it's not. I think they're like 50-60% now, and still the supply chain is completely affected. And I know a lot of countries are getting affected by that, including medicines that are not going to come. So all these are going to create a lot of problems. And I heard in some places you have the shelf emptying, and that creates panic. And when you have panic, nothing really works normally, because, for example, we file a case and you have to go to the court, or you have to go somewhere, and suddenly lock the place down and everything gets delayed, and people work at a minimum capacity. And once you reach that kind of level, everything kind of doesn't fall into place. A bit like we had when we had September 11, but this one is a little bit more scary, because at least it was located. Now this is all over the place, and people are really worried. And people traveling. Today we're going to talk a lot about people traveling, because this is the other people who are going to be affected, and they are going to really kind of be the questions will be on that, because a lot of people, of course, will be demanding that they actually get. For example, I have clients. Last time I think I didn't mention that. I don't know if I did, but we have clients traveling from Thailand or from Taiwan and things like that, and then they get stuck. And then when they get back in, they are put in quarantine for some places, not everywhere, or some places just you can get back in the U.S. And that's more scary because a lot of people are used to traveling very freely inside and outside the U.S. And for example, if you try to go for stamping in India and you have to go to another country, like maybe Hong Kong or something, you're going to get stuck. Yeah. So it is very, very, it is something that is going to get really difficult now, because all the plans that people have are going to be definitely be disturbed. And if there's a block, especially if there's a block in India, we're going to see a lot of problems and difficulties, especially people who have to go for stamping. So again, this is Attorney Shah Peerally. We're live today, and it's March 5th, 2020, and we're starting with sad news, of course, with all the things, people dying all around, and my heart goes to all those people who basically, in Seattle especially now, we were talking about other countries, now we're starting to talk about the U.S. and even California, first death, etc. So this is going to definitely affect things. Trade is affected, so when trade is affected, that means everything else will be affected. And that means also people on H-1Bs and visas who are going for stamping. A lot of my clients from China have been stuck, and of course now if things go bad, hopefully it won't, but there are chances that there might be issues with India too, and you will see also a lot of people not able to come back. And that's the part which is going to be worrisome, because many times people will have to go for stamping. And if they try to go for stamping in a third-party country, they might not even get a chance, they might not even let them in. So that's another issue that I will recommend people, if you have plans to travel, make sure you double-check, because I had a lot of situations where people came to me in December saying, hey, I want to travel. I look at the paperwork. I say, oh, everything is fine. You should be able to travel. And especially people for China. And then by the time they were traveling for the Chinese New Year, and then what happens is that they travel like 1 month before usually. And then when they were trying to come back, they couldn't come back. They pretty much tell them, well, you can't come back. And that's going to be really bad if this happens to you. So you don't want to have a situation like that, because if you look at things the way it is right now, it is not really a healthy situation. Let's put it this way. It's very, very important that you make sure that you have all the things that you're prepared for that if you're traveling abroad. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Attorney Shah Peerally for the Shah Peerally Law Show. Hopefully I'll have Sharif also talk a little bit about EB1 later, but until then, if you want to call, if you have any questions on immigration, feel free to call our studio lines 510-657-1170, 510-657-1170. So it is major that you actually double check with your airline, first of all, because a lot of the connections are not working anymore. So suddenly you might find yourself stuck somewhere and you won't be able to get out of there. And worse, if the country is put under quarantine, or I mean not quarantine, but there's a lockdown there, you might get yourself stuck there. I have a lot of friends from Italy who went for travel too. They got the same problem. They got stuck. They were not my clients, but they were my friends, and they're still my friends. And they are communicating with me sometimes through Facebook. And it is very, very, it's very depressing when you see what's happening. And we need to make sure that you have this under control. I mean, we don't want to speculate, but we need to know what's happening. So I don't know, Michael, if we have any callers. This is Attorney Shah Peerally. We are live on air today. You can call the studio line 510-657-1170, 510-657-1170. And if you want to have a situation of a private consultation, we'll be glad to do that for you. And you can call our office 510-742-5887, 510-742-5887. That's our number to our office. But if you want a private if you want to call on the studio line right now, you can call 510-657-1170, 510-657-1170, and we will be having Sharif in few minutes, so we might be able to have him. Hopefully, we'll talk a little bit about EB1, National Trust Waiver, and also its other issues that are related to immigration. So we will have him on board and talking a little bit about that. So please tune in, don't go anywhere. And I think we have one caller. Let me take the caller. This is Shah Peerally, 11A. Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hi, this is Shah. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, Shah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, my friend. I'm doing well.
Okay.
What can I do for you?
Sir, I have a question for you regarding immigration. This is not related to the employment, just as general immigration. So, I am a U.S. citizen and I wanted to apply green card for my parents.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
And I have a younger brother who is at this point of time is 20-year-old. So, what is the procedure for him? Do I need to apply for him separately, or he can come with my parents?
Well, that's a good question. He cannot come with your parents. You have to apply for him separately, because even if you had applied, for example, for a brother, the brother has children, then yes, you can file under the brother. But for your brother itself, you have to file separately for a different category.
Okay, so even he is 21 years.
Is he married?
No, he's not married. He's studying.
Okay. One of the solutions is to file for your parents as soon as your parents becomes green card, but he cannot be married. Hopefully you can get it before he turns 21. They might be able to file for him, and it will go faster.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if you need help, just give me a call at the office. I'll guide you, or we can handle the case for you. Okay?
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Shah.
Okay. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. Let me take another caller. This is Shah Peerally, 11A. Hello.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. I have a question regarding the H4 extension. What is the current wait time? And if I have an option of filing a premium, what is your advice?
Okay, that's a good question, right? Number one, what's the current wait time? It's around 5-6 months, and probably more in some cases if you do regular. So now filing the premium depends on your situation. Sometimes people find it strategic not to file premium, or basically not to waste the money. So they file it regular because they just want to go ahead, and then if it doesn't get processed within 4 or 5 months or 6 months, then they upgrade it. So it all depends on your situation on a case-by-case basis. There are advantages. For example, let's say you already fall out of status and you need to get back on status. In this case, premium is the best because you quickly file it, you get an approval, you leave the country and you come back. Otherwise, it's not necessary to file premium. But most of my cases, I do file premium because people get stressed to know the answer, or if in case you never know, they might get a better job or try to move, etc. So it has its advantage. For example, if you're not planning to stay with that company for too long, then you want to do premium because once it's easier, once it's approved, then you can move to another company. So it all depends on your case, but premium has its advantage. But premium, unfortunately, everything is getting an RFE pretty much. So if you don't answer the RFE, even with a premium, the case gets delayed. So it depends on your situation.
Okay. Yeah. So lately, premium, if you're filing for premium, they are having a lot of RFEs.
Pretty much everybody is having RFE, but the answer is pretty much yes, because I think they use that as a tool to buy time. But at the same time now, pretty much if you look at most cases, you are seeing RFEs, which is a good thing somehow instead, because remember they passed a memo, they said they will just send denials. But they don't do that. They still send the RFE, which is something good, right? So I recommend that depending on your case, you can give me a call and we can do a private consultation. I can tell you if it is a good idea for you to file premium or not. But just thinking if you don't file premium, you won't get an RFE. That's not true. But yes, most of the premium have an RFE. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Shah.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Good luck to you. That's a very interesting question. A lot of people have asked me that before. They say, okay, if I file premium, I will get an RFE, but ARFE, we keep saying an RFE, ARFE, it's a request for evidence. But the thing is just like, yeah, it is. If you look at it from a perspective of most lawyers, yes, we are seeing that, and very few cases we're not seeing RFEs. But it depends on the case. If you're filing, for example, under what we call an EB1, an RFE, it is interesting to have the case filed under premium, and oftentimes you don't even get an RFE, you get an approval if it is done properly. So I highly recommend in cases like EB1, etc., you do an RFE. Not an RFE, I'm sorry, and you file under premium because you want to get an answer fast. So these are things like that. But National Interest Waiver doesn't have an ability to do premium. H4 doesn't have premium. Yeah, just to mention, many people think that when you file an H1 with an H4, if it is filed under premium, you get premium. The answer is no. The H4 never had a premium. What was happening when the H4 was set up under Obama, H4 and H4 EAD, many times the USCIS, as a matter of courtesy, will approve both the H1 and the H4 quickly. And that goes to the advantage of everybody filing under premium. But the truth is, it's not really like that. It is not something that you want to really kind of assess just on a general. You have to assess it accordingly. So make sure that you decide if you want to go premium or not. The other good news with premium is that not only you get an answer fast, but you also have the ability to ultimately file it later. So you can have a normal case, and then at a later stage, if things are getting delayed, you can always file it later. So the only problem is that what happens if they remove premium and you need the premium? That's where it gets tricky. So I don't know, we were not able to reach Sharif here. We will call him probably in like 10 minutes or so, Michael. So until then, let me continue, and you can still call. The lines are open, 510-657-1170. 510-657-1170. This is attorney Shah Peerally from the Shah Peerally Law Group. For the new listeners, I've been an attorney now 16 years, and I've been doing this show going on 10 years. In a few months, it will reach 10 years. Wow. Time is really flying. And we were talking at the beginning of the impact of the virus and all the situation happening around the world, how this is going to impact your not only your travel, but ultimately it will impact everything. Even though it's not the virus itself that will impact you, but the trade implication, the recession that it is causing, the fall down will definitely impact all the industries. For example, we know Apple now is not able to meet the requirements of their phones. And we know also that we know what's happening with the stock market. We had a rally, but it's not going to last long because anyway, everybody was expecting a recession. All that has happened, the virus just expedited it. And now what it will do, many companies might start layoffs. So now the question, what happens if you get laid off and you're on H-1B? Well, this is the thing. First of all, if you get laid off, you are entitled to a 60 days grace period. What it means, a grace period? A grace period only means you can pretty much file a transfer without the paycheck stub. And you are not out of status. Okay, I'll just repeat that. You can still file a transfer. What is a transfer? That's the question. What's the difference between filing a case and filing a transfer? A transfer entitled two things. Number one, that you're requesting USCIS to move your cap exemption from Company A to Company B. And number two, you're asking them to move your I-94 from company A to company B. And in order to move an I-94, the I-94 has to still be valid. And validity of the I-94 under H-1B is determined pretty much by the USCIS saying that, oh, if you don't have a paycheck stub, you lost that status. Okay, so it is important that you know the 60 days, how you use it. And if you need help, give us a call, 510-7425-887. I think we have another caller, right, Michael? This is Shah. Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear.
Sir.
Hello?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, so my question is that how to know which address USCIS is having for H-1B candidate and how to update that?
I don't understand the question. I didn't understand exactly. Which address for what? Your address, your personal address? Or you're talking mailing address? Oh, your personal address, you have to...
Personal mailing address.
Okay, your personal address. Okay, that's a good question. By law, you have 10 days when you move to do what we call an AR11. AR11 is a form that you can get it on their website, uscis.gov, and I think you can even do it online. So every time you move from one address to another, you need to make sure you do that change of address. It's called a change of address form, AR11. And if you don't do it, it is ground for them revoking your things. I repeat that. They have a right even to deport you if you don't do that. So make sure that you go ahead and you file it every time within 10 days when you move.
But how to know the existing address with them?
How to confirm that? Unless you do a Freedom of Information request, FOIA, but even then you won't know. So the best is to be on the safe side. You just file the address, and the last address you remember, you put it there and you put your new address on it. But to know that you can do a Freedom of Information request, a FOIA form. I think it's G693 or something like that. You can go online, you get that. But even that, it might not give you the latest one, so be careful.
Is it not possible to call them and know that?
You can try, but I don't think they have it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But they might not give it to you, I mean.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try. Thank you.
Okay, good luck to you, So this was a good question on the AR11, because it is very important then that you know about this. And just to let you know, if in case you have an issue with your address, make sure that you actually kind of file the case even you're not sure of your latest address, your change of address, just to make sure. One of the ways I forgot to mention, I don't know if the caller is still there hearing me, one of the things you can check is to check with if they already, if your lawyer filed something for you, he might have that. Okay, I think now we have Sharif, right? Michael? Is Sharif there?
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
Hey, Sharif, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Long time ago. I'm doing well. So I will just let you go in and tell us what's going on new in the EB1 arena in National Interest Waiver, and of course all the things happening. But
absolutely. You know, I would say the most popular and most successful route that many of our clients have been taken in the past few months has been a combined approach of doing both a national interest waiver with an EB1A petition. So let me explain how that works. What we have are, obviously individuals who might be in the visa backlog. Let's take India, for example, where an individual might be working, say, as a, IT security expert at a particular company, and they're on an already approved I-140, EB2 situation, and, they're kind of stuck in that backlog. Maybe, let's say they have priority date of 2012, 2013, and they don't feel like the situation is getting any better. So what we're doing for those clients is saying, rather than just sit around on your hands waiting for things to change, why don't we pursue the EB1A case? And we've been very successful with this over the past few years. So, while some of those people who are highly qualified get approved, there are some borderline cases where, to be honest with you, even with, whatever, amazing abilities we can bring together on these cases, they might not be strong enough to be approved for EB1A, but they still might get through. You don't really know. Some of it is a subjective adjudication process. So what we can do is use the same evidence that we're gathering for the EB1A case to support the national interest waiver case. This way, even, God forbid, they do not get enough evidence to be successful with the EB1A, they will have enough evidence to be successful with the national interest waiver, and that is a huge advantage for them because it gives them the flexibility to change employers without having to worry about a new I-140 being filed by that subsequent employer, and even, travel overseas or work overseas while they're waiting on the priority date for the EB2 to become current if they wanted to come back with a green card. So this is one of the new developments that's been taking place, and I think has been, one that's welcome and people are really appreciative of. Yeah, and I don't think any other, attorneys have thought to do this. So we're on the, another frontier of, helping out and, thinking outside the box to help our clients.
That's great. And we can always count on you on that. Sharif, tell us a little bit about, one thing people, just to tell people who are not familiar with the EB1 and national interest waiver, one of the things that is great about it is that it doesn't require an employer. So that's the reason that you can pretty much stay in outside the country, and then at the same time, basically wait on the national interest waiver. So tell us a little bit about that, Sharif.
Sure. So I think definitely the key factor is that both of these situations are situations where the applicant is able to file on his or her own, where you do not need an employer at all to file on your behalf. This is one of the, I think, great things in the U.S. immigration system, which is the self-petition. So that self-petition process means that you can file the I-140 by yourself without the employer sponsor. Now, in the national interest waiver cases, what we are looking for are applicants who at least have a master's degree. Once you have a master's degree, then you are in the ball game, and we can look at whether you're working in an area that is intrinsically beneficial to the U.S., that is naturally beneficial to the U.S. So this is all about your area of endeavor. Secondly, that you are well positioned to advance this area of endeavor. And thirdly, that there's a balance test to make sure that the interest the U.S. has in having you work and remain in the U.S. overrides the interest of the government having you go through the the labor process, the perm labor process. So that's why we call it a waiver. National interest waiver means you are waiving the requirement to go through the labor certification process. So we just had, a lot of approvals in our office yesterday. About 4 approvals came in various cases, national interest waiver, EB1A, etc. And one of the national interest waiver cases is very, very interesting. Without giving any, confidential information, just for those people that are out there to get an understanding is, if you are in a situation where you work with a vulnerable population, say, for example, you are working with, the elderly who have dementia, let's say, you do, kind of therapy, right? The therapy strategies for those people, that is definitely national interest waiver. I'll give you another national interest waiver that is like really, really popular are folks who work in the streamlining of clinical trials. That is almost guarantee national interest waiver. There's a lot of work right now being done using machine learning and AI technology to streamline drug clinical trials. So that is definitely a national interest waiver. And there is so much similarity.
Let me intervene here right now, Sharif, because this is very interesting what you just said. With the virus going around and there are fundings that are going to come, many biotech, probably people who work with virology and pathology and things like that might qualify for national interest waiver, right?
Big time. And that is exactly where I was headed with this is, look, I'm a blunt guy. I think my clients know that. A lot of, people know that, and that's what gets results. So you can either pull on heartstrings to get the emotional appeal because, look, there is a huge subjective component to approvals right now, meaning that the officer has some discretion. So you can pull on the heartstrings and, make them feel like, look, we're helping cancer patients, we're helping this situation. But there's another thing you could do. You can scare the hell out of them. If my client is not going to be approved, dear immigration officer, then your child is more likely to contract the coronavirus. I'm not going to put it in those words,
right?
But that is the message that they are going to get by the end of the day. And these are the strategies that we use, in a very artistic and, indirect way to get the results for our clients. And not everybody can really tell those stories or give the attention to the cases. I mean, some people, they complain sometimes maybe our fee might be a little bit higher than other firms, but, we're not going to put together a template approach. We're not going to put together a, approach that is, or for example, it might take longer than some other firms are promising. This firm promised to get my EB1 case in 1 month. That's fine, but they're just going to put together a cookie cutter. We're not going to put a cookie cutter. We're going to put a very unique, aggressive, well thought out argument. And that's going to take a little more time and a little bit more money. So if that's the kind of help you're looking for, then we're the kind of people that will help you.
Exactly. This is the interesting part with us. It's just like we cannot take volume because of exactly this situation. There's only so much we can do, and that requires so much attention. Sometimes people get very upset because we delay, but the reason is that we can't just submit it like that. It's bad for you, bad for us, and well, like you said, we just got 4 approvals, by the way. Congratulations on those 4 approvals. And we want to basically make sure that at least we have a very decent shot at this, because just sending the case there, cut and paste, is not going to cut it. So it is something very, very interesting.
Absolutely. And let me just, if you don't mind, let's talk about the connection.
I'm just intervening here. Let you.
There's a connection between national interest waiver and EB1A. Where, for example, under EB1A, a lot of our listeners might recall that we use what's called the plain language meaning of the statute approach. So under the plain language meaning of the statute approach, we need to present the case according to that specific language. The first requirement under EB1A, according to the Immigration Naturalization Act, is to demonstrate that the applicant will prospectively benefit the United States. The way the adjudicators interpret this requirement is basically what I call a mini national interest waiver case. So under the prospective benefit analysis, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to say, do you work in an area that is intrinsically beneficial to the United States? And second, are you well positioned to advance that interest? Well, guess what? That is the same national interest waiver analysis, just in a smaller microcosm of it. So there is a great deal of overlap between a properly arranged and organized EB1A case and a properly organized and arranged national interest waiver case. But, I mean, you still have separate briefs, you still have a lot of separate work, so it's not like it's completely overlapped, but there is some overlap between them. So these individuals that are doing the clinical drug trial optimization through AI, through machine learning, not only do you have a compelling national interest waiver case, you have a very compelling EB1A case right now. So particularly in light of the coronavirus and this is not going anywhere. Even if the coronavirus situation gets settled down in 2-3 months, the memory of it is still going to be there for at least the next 3-4 years, and we're going to be able to use this as a basis for a lot of our clients who work in the biotech fields.
Yes, just to let people know again, I remind them, it's not like you have to go and look for a job before we do that. This is where it's very interesting, is that situation where the possibility of needing you to be in the U.S. is what makes the case, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that goes back to the plain language of the statute. What is the last requirement of the EB1A? Everybody always worries about the criteria. Do I have critical role? Do I have judging? Do I have this? Do I have that? I look at what is the first requirement, which we just talked about, prospective benefit, and what is the last requirement? The last requirement is not that I'm employed or I'm doing something. It's that I will, upon entering the U.S., continue to work in the field of endeavor. So this is all perspective forward-looking. What you need to show is a compelling argument of what you will do.
Exactly.
So based on what you've done, but this is very compelling. I mean, one case I can give you an example is we had a case, this is a little bit while back, of a situation where this, a gentleman worked in, you can just say broadly, I don't want to reveal information, infrastructure-related projects. And what we did for him was, look, you work in infrastructure-related projects as a consultant. I did not really want to put that consulting firm forward because it wasn't that much of a high reputation situation. So what I said is, look, rather than us worry about what you're doing now, let's make the case about what you're going to do after you get your green card. That's what our case is going to be about. And what we did is we developed a situation where we created a very, or he created, I should say, a very complex and sophisticated business plan proposal. So obviously I helped him with it. I guided him. Not only do I have the legal background, but I do have a business background, so that helps. And we were able to basically use that business plan to give the argument of what will this individual be doing moving forward. And that is a very important part of national interest waiver, and it can be a very important part of a EB1A case. One other huge benefit of this business plan proposal was that we assigned him a salary in the business plan, and we showed how we're going to pay for it. So, just like Bernie Sanders, has his plan and he has to show he has to pay for it, we showed how we're going to pay for it. So he showed that he's going to pay for it and that he's assigned himself a salary of $250,000 or higher, and that got him the high salary, command a high salary area. So, look, there's ways to do this, but every case is unique, every case is different, and most of what people are reading online when they're Googling what do I need to get an EB1A, what do I need to get, a national interest waiver, unfortunately is not really 100% accurate.
Exactly. And that is the interesting part, because I had clients, consultation, where they will talk to me, and when I tell them, yeah, it is possible, they go and file it on their own, and then they call me back, they say, oh, I filed it, you told me, and it's not working. Then it's kind of the part which is the interesting part. I explained to them that this is not like filing an H-1B where you fill the forms and you dump it there. It requires a lot of quote-unquote artistic work behind it. And if we don't put that many brains into it and the way of thinking outside the box, it doesn't work. And we have seen cases where they get denial, they come to us, and we take a different approach, we get approvals, right?
Yeah. And you know this, and we're not going to reveal the information, but we just got an email the other day about someone who started his business. And, he started his own business after getting the approval of his EB1A and getting his work permit and getting now his green card. And that particular person who just sent that email, it came to both of us, he was previously denied. He had a denied EB1A. He came to us. He said, "Can you help me get an EB1A?" I said, "Of course we can." And we got his case approved, and 6 months later he's starting his own business, has a green card, and is asking us for referrals for his new business. So,
exactly.
I mean, that's what happens.
So that's the interesting part, Sometimes people don't realize, and the great thing about EB1 also, people don't know, we can always take your previous priority date and we merge it in there, because people think because it's an EB1, you cannot use your EB2 priority date and merge it. And that's where they miss a really good chance sometimes. So tell us a little bit about some of the you say you got 4 cases yesterday. Congrats again. And also, were they internet security. This is becoming more than major now, because a lot of spying, a lot of things going on. So tell us a little bit about the kind of cases that are interesting in this field.
Absolutely. So I would say the majority, of cases right now are in the, I would say, technology arena, definitely AI, machine learning, and, I think security is definitely huge, protecting data warehousing, protecting data, that kind of thing is really big. Ultimately, what we're looking for is really salary at this point. In a lot of those cases, that's what is usually the thing that separates out folks. If you are, in the, I would say, 250,000 range or higher, then, if you, I'll give you an example. If you're an IIT graduate, okay, and it doesn't mean you have to have these credentials to be approved, but I could just tell you, if you're coming out of IIT, just from our Indian friends, and you are then, working in a 250,000 or above salary, and, you need someone to look at your case. Do not, there's too much groupthink right now within the Indian community. I know so-and-so, he didn't get approved, therefore I cannot get approved. Or, this is only for, professors. Or I think we've dispelled many of those myths through our success. However, those definitely still persist. So if you want to be successful, you need to kind of just not necessarily live in the groupthink bubble. Because, if you're sitting around eating your, lunch with your colleagues, and you guys are all, tend to, think the same way based on the same information that is mostly incorrect, then, that's going to be a problematic scenario. So, and you really need to kind of take this on your own and worry about yourself. And I always tell my clients, don't even talk to your friends about this. They will only discourage you. They'll only put you down. Just worry about yourself and worry about collecting the required evidence.
That's a very good point, Sharif, because I have people coming to me, I read this online, I read that. It's good to get information, to get some feedback, but oftentimes people will write their specific case and they won't give you the details or how it was done, etc. And then guess what? You end up by getting this. I had clients which had a very clear-cut EB1, by the way, and someone told them, you need a little bit more, and guess what? 8 months he waited. By the time the dates retrogressed, if he had come to us, he would have already been on a green card right now, probably the green card in hand. Yeah. Now we still got the work permit, I think, on this case, but the fact that the dates are not current, he's not getting the green card, even the I-140 is approved. So don't just be like that and say, okay, we will do the assessment. We have a good reputation. We are not going to just tell you, oh, sign up with us, knowing that you're not going to win. We cannot guarantee a win, but we know at least what are your chances, right?
Yeah. And I'll tell you straight up. I mean, I've told people plenty of times that, look, it's not that it's impossible, but it's a very, very tough uphill climb. Very tough. And some of those people say, you know what, I realize it's an uphill climb. I realize it's going to be tough. I realize all those things, but I'd like to give it a try. And, depending if it's really plausible, we'll do it. And a lot of those end up getting approved. So, that's...
Yeah, in fact, I've noticed that, many times we give it a shot. We just try. And that's how it started, actually. And we end up by getting an approval, which is very encouraging because, hey, let's put it this way. Worst case scenario, people are losing the money. But best case scenario, they are getting a job and a green card. So it is important that we actually, it is important that we make sure that all those cases that we don't just tell people, oh, you qualify for EB1 and we just jump on it. No. We do an assessment, I do an assessment, and then Sharif does an assessment, our team does. Then we tell you. We just don't say, but oftentimes just looking at it and Sharif talking to them, we know right there how things are. So feel free to reach out to us, 510-742-5887. This is Attorney Shah Peerally with Attorney Sharif today talking about EB1 and National Interest Waiver. And then Sharif, tell us what is new on your side, and let us talk a little bit about E2 visas for those people from Pakistan, from Egypt and things like that listening to us. Tell us a little bit about that because you got few approvals on those, right?
Sure. So the E2 visa is a business investor visa for individuals who are from specific countries. A lot of times when people think of the business investment visa, the only thing they understand is EB5, which requires now, over $700,000-800,000 and many other factors. The E2 visa is something completely different. E2 is a non-immigrant visa, but it allows you to work and live in the United States, and you could bring your entire family, wherein your spouse would even be able to work herself at a different place. So the E2 has a huge amount of benefits, particularly for those people who want to work in the U.S., and the requirement is that you invest in a business, in a E2 business enterprise. So this enterprise can be, I've done cases where we've done tutoring centers, we've done, software companies, we've done small businesses such as restaurants or, tire shops, car dealerships, you name it. So, again, you have to basically make an investment. That investment, what the law talks about is a substantial amount of investment. So usually we're talking, between, I would say, $65,000 at least. Better to be around the $100,000 range. And, then you can live, work, and be in the U.S. Without any, situation where you have to worry about leaving as long as the business is continuing to operate. What the requirement is what's called making irrevocably committed investment of funds. So you actually have to position those funds in such a way that you're willing to lose them, meaning, take the risk of being in business. And, so many of our folks have done that, have been very successful with it. And that's a great way to stay and work and live in the U.S. without, without having a huge, $1 million investment. If it's $70,000, $80,000, a lot of that can be framed as, overtime or advertising, or you could put yourself on the payroll. There's a lot of ways to kind of do this, but, definitely E2 is a great option, not only for people from Pakistan, Egypt, etc., but we get a lot of clients definitely from Canada, actually, who, want to start businesses in the United States. So really, I think that, folks can benefit from that E2 visa in a very, many ways. And the other thing is we could help you with the other aspects, the business aspects of, finding the locations or finding the right, planning and all that. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting part too, because a lot of people call me, I want to invest in the U.S., but what do I invest in? So we might be able to advise you also on that part. So ladies and gentlemen, now I have Sharif with me, and we were talking about EB1, but before Sharif goes, I just wanted to mention we also do debt settlement for those people who are going through a hard time right now and they owe a lot of money on their debts. Feel free to check this blog, yourdebtsettlementattorney.com, yourdebtsettlementattorney.com, or call us 510-742-5887. We can help you with credit cards, second mortgage, etc. Sharif, we have 2 minutes to finish, so can tell us a little bit about wrapping up. Let's go back to our immigration side, since I have you on the air today, and tell me a little bit about where these things are going now from there. What will you recommend people? EB1, people are still worried because it's backlog, but hey, it's good.
Well, let me mention one other thing is, look, when you're looking even at the filing dates on the State Department bulletin, a lot of people make the mistake of looking only at that State Department bulletin, but if you really read it carefully, there's a link that will take you to the USCIS date for adjustment of status. And that date will sometimes be different than the final action date for EB1. So, for example, the final action date for visa processing for EB1 is March 1st, 2015. But the USCIS adjustment of status date for EB1A is March 15th, 2017. So there's actually a 2-year difference there between State Department date and USCIS date. So you need to make sure, again, that you're looking at the correct information, because a lot of websites just have it where it's pegged to that State Department date without realizing that the USCIS adjustment of status date for EB1 is actually different than the State Department final action date for visas. So, there's a lot of, again,
it's like we have 3 dates now. It used to be only 1, then it became 2, now it's 3 days. So, Sharif, we are done now. I'm going to let you go. So, I just wanted to thank you all for listening. Thank you, Sharif. A final last word. You have 30 seconds, and then I can close up. Go ahead.
Yeah, final last word is what I call all of the above approach. You have your life on the line. You are working hard. You are making money. You are successful. Consider all of the above. What is all of the above that you can be doing? And sitting on your hands waiting for the dates to become current is probably the stupidest thing that a lot of smart people are doing. So that's the last thing I would say.
Yes. That's exactly what many people have been doing, because for fear or the money, or plus they're counting so much on the company. And one advice, it's always better not to do it with the company, because once they lock you and then you'll be stuck, the case will be on their name as petition, etc. It becomes more complicated. So we are done. Thank you so much. I think we are done for today, right, Michael? So we'll be back next week from we will be back, and I don't know how much time. Are we still online, Michael? I don't know. So I just wanted to thank you. Anything we told you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. 510-742-5887. Thank you. Bye-bye.